So I got to say yay finally. Good day in my mind seems to take a step back. Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Maddie, and today I thought I would make a video about my experience as a foreign exchange student. I asked you guys to submit some questions that you wanted to ask me about my exchange year on Instagram, so first of all, if you want to interact with my videos like this, you should definitely go follow me on Instagram. And I usually do like polls and stuff over there, and sometimes I reply to DMs if I can, so if you want to interact with me, you can always go over there. And also, before we get started, if you do want to follow me on this channel as well, make sure to subscribe, and let's get into the video. Okay, first of all, I got a lot of questions, so if I don't get to your question, I'm really sorry. I might just like make a part 2, or let's see how long this video gets in the first place. But I want to answer like the very basic questions in the first place. Which country? Oh wait, okay, so the reason that I'm making this video right now instead of when I actually like came back from my foreign exchange year, like right after I came back, is because I'm actually planning on doing another year of foreign exchange if everything goes to plan and this Miss Rona situation doesn't take the whole exchange year away from me. I'm planning on going on another exchange year, and the most asked question was actually where I'm going next year, and I actually filmed myself finding out where I was going. So I'm gonna roll that clip of me finding out where I'm going next year, and then you guys know where. Okay, I look like shit, but I'm about to check where I got into, or where I'm going to for my foreign exchange. I think I got into my first choice. I'm going to Spain next year. What the fuck? So yes, as you've seen in the video, I'm planning on going to Spain next year. That's gonna be so exciting. I'm so excited about it. I'm just like, and especially because I really loved living in Europe for my last exchange year. I'm so excited that I get to go back over there, and I possibly want to do another like mini Europe tour with me and my friend if that's possible. I mean, I want to do so much once I get there, but yeah, that's another reason for you guys to stick around, because I want to vlog everything that goes on over there. So yes, very exciting. That's where I'm going next year. And then yeah, so now I'm gonna go back into the questions of how my exchange year was 2 years ago. So I went to Switzerland. There was a lot of questions about which country I went to. I went to Switzerland that was August 2017 to July in 2018, so it was a 11-month or almost close to 1 year foreign exchange. My agency was Rotary Youth Exchange. If you know, or it's not even an agency, it's just an organization. They do youth exchanges all over the world, so if you're thinking about it, I think you should consider them, because they're also on the cheaper side when it comes to costs and stuff. I got questions about the accommodation. So for me, and I think it's normal for Rotary Youth Exchange students to have 3 host families throughout the year. I had 3 host families during the span of 1 year, so it was like 3 months at one family, 3 months at the other, maybe 4 months at the last one. And I honestly didn't have any inconveniences or anything, except for like the factor of culture shock a little bit. But to be honest, all my host families were amazing. There was one host family that I had to cancel and switch to a different host family to because I have cat allergies, and they had a cat, so that was unfortunate because I was also looking forward to staying with them if I could. For me, I think it was also interesting because I had 2 other exchange students who were with me at my same Rotary club, and they just decided to rotate all 3 of us throughout the year to the same 3 host families. So it was almost like we were like a big family of host families and exchange students, and it was really nice because I could go back and forth to the different host families and just visit them when I wanted to. And I don't know, I think it's nice to have 3 host families instead of having only 1 throughout the whole year, because obviously having only 1 would make it easier for you to get along with them if you do get along with them, and you probably would form more of a closer bond because you've been with them for the whole year. But I think the whole thing about having 3 host families is you get to experience different aspects of different families inside of the country as well. So that gives you a whole different sense of what the country is like, because you have experiences with different types of families with different cultural backgrounds as well. And if you only stay with one family, you only think that that's what represents that country that you're going to, but that's not always true. So it was really nice for me to experience 3 different cultural backgrounds in 3 different host families, as well as experience the culture of Switzerland. Okay, was it hard to adapt to the new environment? Yes and no. I think I didn't have super high expectations when it came to anything on foreign exchange, because I knew that if I went with certain expectations, I was more than likely to be let down or have a different experience than what I was imagining, and it feeling a little different from what I wanted. So I decided to just go into the foreign exchange with almost 0 expectations and accepting what comes and enjoying what comes to me. So it wasn't honestly difficulties. I just tried to adapt to whatever situation that came to me as much as I could. Obviously the language barrier is a thing that you have to get over with when it comes to foreign exchange. And the people in Switzerland, they did speak English. Obviously not many people understood Japanese, but they did speak English, and some people were they would rather speak to me in English because they wanted to practice their English as well. But I think my host families and also my friends at school were nice enough to try and speak German with me because they knew that I needed to learn the language as well. And I think it's important for you to have a host family and friends that will encourage you to use the language over there and not just take the easy route of speaking English or a common language that you both understand just because it's easier. And so yeah, the language barrier was something that I had to get over with. Culture shock, I don't know, I think culture shock was a little different for me because I'm already from a bicultural background, and I know both the Japanese culture and somewhat of American culture. And going to Europe, obviously it's completely different, but knowing 2 aspects of certain cultures made me more tolerant to the different aspects that I was experiencing in Switzerland as well. So like I would see a situation in Switzerland that other people would think that it's so different from their country that they came from, and I would be like, oh, that's kind of like a combination of this part and this part of America and Japan. So it was more easy to tolerate, if that makes sense. But that was just me, so I honestly don't know. Okay, can you still maintain the language skills? To be honest, I did study German a little bit once I came home, but originally I did want to learn French on my foreign exchange. That was my intent on going into foreign exchange, but then with Rotary Youth Exchange, you don't always get your first choice of country, and I put France as my first choice and Switzerland as my second, and I got Switzerland as my second choice. I originally chose Switzerland because they had a French-speaking region, but I was sent to the German-speaking region, so I wasn't forced into speaking German, but it wasn't my first choice of language in the first place, so I wasn't super motivated, to be honest. So once I came back, I still didn't feel the motivation to try and maintain the language as much as I probably should have, and especially because I started learning Spanish in university instead of German. I think my German language skills have declined a lot. Ich weiß nicht. Soll ich Deutsch ein bisschen sprechen? I guess you guys could be the judge of that, but yeah. To be honest, I think if I go back there and speak it for a few weeks, then it'll all come back. But for now, I am not too comfortable speaking German. Yeah, but that's only just because I didn't have that much of a motivation and that much of a love for the language itself. I mean, I loved the people over there, and I loved that I had a communication tool to talk with the people over there, but I never had the motivation to maintain the language skill just because I learned the language, if you know what I mean. How was my year in general? Okay, so the girl who sent this question in said she had a bad exchange year, and I feel really bad for her because I actually had a really good experience with my foreign exchange. I learned a lot, I grew a lot, and I met new people, I met different cultures, I met new friends from all over the world. I think it was a really beautiful experience. I think that's also why I wanted to do another foreign exchange year, because I had such a good experience last time, and I did have to go through hardships as well, but now that I know what I can grow from next time, then I think it would be another stepping stone for me to go on another exchange year and implement the things that I've learned learned in the previous year and trying to grow further from that. Someone asked about the different time zones and if it was easy to adjust to. To be honest, yes. Like at first, obviously you have jet lag and stuff, but when you're living there for a year, it doesn't really make that big of a difference. You just adjust, your body adjusts to the time zones over there. I think it would be a pain in the butt if you're trying to contact people from your home country every single day. But for me, even by the organization, it was encouraged to not talk to your parents or your friends from your home country as much as you probably wanted to, because it would take away from adapting to the new environment in the new country. So I didn't really FaceTime my parents or try to contact my friends as much, and that also made it easier because there wasn't like a time zone gap that I had to be conscious about when I'm trying to contact people from my home country. But yeah, it wasn't really hard to adjust to the time differences. Someone asked, was making friends easy? Yes and no, I don't know. The people there were very nice and they were very helpful and willing to help me with my language skills and stuff, but I think it was more of a me problem where I didn't feel like a personal connection to a lot of the people there yet, and I would feel like I distanced myself where I felt like I didn't belong there. But to be honest, I feel like that was some part of the xenophobia of the Japanese culture speaking inside of me and being like, if you don't adapt there and if you don't feel like you're a part of their culture, then they won't accept you, which is so messed up, to be honest. But I still had that like lingering part of the Japanese culture inside of me, and I did make friends though, but I think with the language barrier and also cultural differences and stuff, yeah, it took me a while to like convince myself that I needed to be the one to go and start talking to people, because I always like waited until other people would, you know, come and talk to me because I was the exchange student, you know. And also in Japan, I think like when there were exchange students, we would always go talk to them because we were curious. And I was kind of expecting that, but apparently that's not how it goes in other countries. So I think even this is like one of the lessons that I learned, but just you have to be the one to start to make conversations if you want to make friends. And it took me the longest time to realize that and to start like having the courage to go talk to people first and not being ashamed of like my language skills. Or I was also afraid of like making a language mistake and like saying something weird in German when I was trying to go and talk to people. And that was also something that I had to overcome and be like, you're the exchange student, they know that it's not your first language, so you just have to go for it, you know. Would I live there if I could? Yes, actually, I would love to live in Switzerland for like 3 years or 4 years, maybe even a whole lifetime, but that depends, I guess. Like safety wise and the culture and the nature, oh my god, the nature over there, amazing. Food, I mean, it was still good. I still prefer Japanese food over any other food, to be honest, but the food was good too. I loved the cheese and the chocolate, so yeah, I would definitely live there. What else? Was the language easy to learn? Yes and no. I honestly think it's easier when you do have an environment around you where everybody's speaking the language and you're kind of forced to learn. It's different from learning a language in university like 2 times a week, having classes, because you're constantly surrounded by it and your brain kind of forces you to learn everything. So I think it was easier to learn the language. Obviously German isn't the easiest language to learn in the first place because it has all the articles and it's different from Japanese. It was similar to English, so for me it was on the easier side to learn, but it's What is something that I fell in love with that Japan doesn't have? I think the part where people don't judge you just because of your culture or your ethnicity was amazing to me, because I came from Japan where this country is just so homogenous. I made a video about it, and like, I'm not bashing Japan only. I mean, I love Japan, I live here, it's my country, but there are some parts of it that it's just a little too xenophobic. So coming from that, going into another country and them being so accepting of different cultures and different ideas, and it was so just multicultural, should I say? It was diverse, a lot more diverse than what I've experienced in Japan, and I think that experience was really, really precious to me, and it's something that I couldn't find in Japan. So yeah, that's something that I would say. And also the relationship that they have with nature was a little bit different from what I've experienced in Japan. I mean, Japan has amazing nature as well, but the way that they would just like go on a hike for a weekend activity, I was like I was also not the type to go on hikes or jogs or walks, and I refuse to go to the gym with my host brother. I feel so bad. I feel so sorry for him. Okay, what is the biggest change that you had? Tricky one. As I said, I think it's the part where I had to force myself to have the courage to talk to people first and not being afraid of my language abilities. I think I had to, you know, have my ego shuttered a little bit before I could be humbled and go and talk to people, not being afraid of how they thought of me. That was a huge stepping stone. And also just learning about different cultures in so many different ways, because it's not just Switzerland, because I became friends with a lot of people from different countries as well, because they were also exchange students. So yeah, just the whole diversity of things. I had a change of mindset that I have become more accepting of different cultures in general, and I think that was a really cool thing to experience and something really cool to learn. How was the food? The food was, I liked it. At certain times, like the pastries, the bread, the cheese, and the chocolate. Mwah. I loved it. And also the coffee. Coffee's over there. So good. But like the normal dishes that would come out for dinner and stuff, I think they were just like a little too heavy for me. Even like the lunches that we had at the Rotary clubs, I couldn't eat all of them for most of the time just because they were so big. The proportion sizes are so different for what we have in Japan, because I ate so little in Japan prior to my exchange. I still eat like very little, and I'm also like a small person in general, so my proportion sizes were not matched up to what they had over there. Obviously, like I think it's different compared to America, like countries where they have bigger proportion sizes. But for me, yeah, the food was a little too like heavy or too salty, maybe. Just like the sauce, it was like heavy. And then what else? Yeah, I love food when it came to, or like ice cream, gelato. I just like, yeah, there are just aspects that I love of it and some that I don't. They ate way too many potatoes in my opinion. I mean, like I love fries and potato stuff, but like every other serving there were mashed potatoes instead of bread or rice. Oh, I missed rice so much. Yeah, this wasn't even a question, but I should tell you some of the things that I missed while I was over there that they only had in Japan were 100 yen shops, convenience stores. I miss convenience stores so much. And then ramen places. Those are the three things that I missed a lot when I was over there. Yes. Someone asked if they could still study in university if they go on exchange in year 12. I think you can, but for me, I went during year 11, and then I repeated the second half of my year 11 and the first half of my year 12 after I came back. So I literally just dropped a grade once I came back, but for me, it was worth it. I was ready to exchange my experience for a foreign exchange year abroad with missing a year in school in Japan, and I came back and I repeated a year. So to be honest, I think you would have to repeat a year again before you try to apply to college. It depends on the country though. It depends on the school. You should ask them and see you're able to get credits at school at the school that you go to for exchange. Okay, what is something that I wish I brought? One of the things that I struggled with was I was not prepared for the weather change in Switzerland, because in Japan it usually gets super cold at like middle November or sometimes in October, but it starts getting colder a little later in the year, and I wasn't prepared for it to drop. Like the temperature dropped really rapidly in September, and I was shocked because I didn't bring any like winter coats or anything. So to be honest, I would recommend you bring different types of clothing for different types of weather just in case at first, so you're not like surprised by a super chilly night and you didn't bring any type of hoodie, or you know, be prepared for different types of weather. You don't know what it's going to be like over there. Like obviously do your research. Maybe that was my fault, but yeah, that's something that I would say you should probably bring. I brought these stuff, but don't forget to bring like the plug adapters. What do you call those? Yeah, different types of adapters. For also remember that some of the electricity devices that you bring over there, the voltages, they're different, and sometimes like your heating devices can overheat if you curl your hair or something like that. So be careful on your devices, on what you bring. What did I wish I brought? Not something that I wish I brought, but something that I wish I did over there was actually like start my YouTube channel over there. I did try and make a few videos about my experience over there, but I was still insecure about having a YouTube channel, and I didn't vlog as much as I wanted to, or I didn't post videos about Switzerland as much as I wanted to, and that's one of the biggest things that I regret from having my exchange year, because I don't know, I just wish that I recorded more of the memories. I mean, I was more of a you should live your life in the moment type of person, and I wanted to have my memories in here, but at the same time, once I came back, I did regret not having like footage of me living over there, because like it was such a good experience. I want to have something to look back on it, which is also why I want to vlog and make updates and do a lot of videos of my exchange year in Spain if I can. So stay tuned for that if you want to see, because this time I am not going to have the same type of regret that I did when I did in Switzerland. What am I talking about? Okay, last question. What was the most valuable lesson that I learned? Yeah, the most valuable lesson that I learned was to accept diversity. I stopped caring about what people think about me. I think that was like the biggest lesson that I learned, is that people aren't thinking about you as much as you think that they're thinking about you. So I was so self-conscious about like my language abilities, and how much like I was self-conscious that like I haven't learned enough in this short amount of period of time, or I can't go talk to that person because they're gonna think that my German is stupid or something like that. Like I stopped caring about that stuff because that didn't get me anywhere, to be honest. So I think those were like the biggest lessons that I learned. I learned to live in the moment, but also like make sure to keep record of what you're experiencing, just so you have something to look back on. I learned a lot about diversity and accepting different cultures, especially coming from a country like Japan. It was eye-opening for me. I also learned to just like not judge people in any type of aspect in general. I feel like I was such a judgy person before I went over there. It wasn't even like me or anything. It was just like something that was so subconsciously programmed into my mind to be so judgy about everything. And I just dropped all of that completely, because that also didn't get me anywhere. Yeah. I don't know, I just had like a really nice experience over there, to be honest. And my friends know this about me, but like every time someone's talking about something and it has something to do with relating to what I experienced in Switzerland, I would be like, oh yeah, in Switzerland, blah 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 blah, and they probably hate me for that. And I feel like that's every exchange student as well, but you know, it is what it is. That's what you get for experiencing a year abroad. So okay, this video is way too long. It's already 30 minutes recording, so I'm gonna have to like edit this down to possibly a 20-minute video. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to stay tuned for future videos of me obviously vlogging in Japan and living my life in Japan, but also next time I'm hoping that this all works out, hopefully going to Spain next year and experience a whole different type of foreign exchange year, because I think it's also different when you go on exchange in high school and it's different when you go on exchange in uni. So whole different type of exchange experience. If you're looking forward to that, definitely subscribe. And yeah, like this video if it was really helpful. If you have any further questions or comments that you want to make sure to leave them down below. And if you are subscribing, make sure to put the notifications bell thingy on to every video that you get, because apparently the YouTube algorithm doesn't really show a bunch of my videos if you don't have those on. And thank you so much for watching. Thanks for sticking around until the last part of the video. I'm sorry if it was all over the place or it was rambly, but I will see you guys in my next video. So
So I spoke, you'll be heavy in my mind. Can you get the heck out? I need rest now. Got me bummed out. You so